Hello and welcome to Graceful Connections presented by Academy for the Soul. I'm your host, Sophie Bidard, and the co-creator of Graceful Connections together with Christel Hughes, founder of Academy for the Soul, the online school for intuitive arts. Graceful Connections is an adventure of exploration, discovery, healing, liberation, growth, and truthful expression, which is facilitated, amplified, magnified, and blessed really with grace. As graceful connections are woven between you and our expert speakers, our guide, your guides, into gracefully catalyzing your intuition. Thank you for being with us and bringing your unique vibration, colors, and energetic imprint without which something would be missing. Thank you for answering yes to the calling of grace and the calling of your starseed soul to reveal its origins, which is what our guest Matthew John will be sharing with us about today. And that's very intriguing and fascinating for sure. So let's begin. I invite you to relax, take a few deep breaths. Breathing out all that does not belong to this moment. Let's bring all of your attention and your presence here and now. We set our intention that our time together, all that is shared in words and beyond the words, all the energies that we call in and flow, serve our highest good, our evolution, and be of service to the highest good of all. I invite you to open your heart, or open it even more, and be ready to receive. And to open your mind, or open it even more, and be ready to receive. Activating your connection to the new earth crystalline grid, and your connection to galactic center, the center of truth. You are held, both grounded and suspended. You are safe, relaxed, and ready, and open to receive. Now I'm calling the orb of grace from the heart of the universe. And placing the orb of grace around our group, our gathering, each and every one of us, that we be held in the orb of grace and infused with grace all along our time together. Let's take a moment to adjust to the purity and the subtle high frequency of grace, allowing it to gracefully dissolve, realign, harmonize, amplify, magnify all that needs to be so in purest alignment with divine will and the divine order of grace. And breathe. Beautiful. Now within the orb of grace, I'm delighted to welcome our expert speaker, gifted, intuitive, and starseed guide, Matthew John, who will be offering fascinating insights addressing starseeds, find out where your soul is from in the stars. It is such a blessing to have you with us today, Matthew. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me in the Orb of Grace.
We're delighted to welcome you. Yes, fascinating topic. We have many great interest for this. So everyone, just so you know, Matthew is going to share many insights and also going to offer live intuitive readings today. So to request your reading, press *2 on your phone or click raise hand on the web to get on the line with Matthew. Or you can place your request in the Q&A box on the web. And the question to ask for your reading is, am I a starseed? Where is my soul from? For now, let's dive into our fascinating topic. And I'd like to begin with asking you, Matthew, the burning question, what is a starseed?
Yeah, I guess that's the logical place to start. So, of course, starseed is a term that's thrown around a lot, especially in the, past 5 to 10 years. It's become really more in vogue in the New Age community. But you can find it, back in, I always like to refer back to the older books from the 1960s and 70s and 80s, and you can even find the term sprinkled here and there. But I think we're coming to more of a clarity in the modern era of what a starseed is. And I've kind of simplified it into thinking of it as really a binary thing. Your soul, we're not talking about your DNA. We're not saying if you're a starseed that you're an extraterrestrial genetically. What we're saying is that your soul originates from outside of the earth. And as I said, it's a binary thing where either your soul originates from the earth, which would be called an earth seed. And to be an earth seed, just quickly to kind of simplify it, it means that your soul originated. First of all, what is a soul? A soul equates with light. If you could write it out as an equation on a whiteboard, soul equals light. And so a soul, wherever it originates as a single photon of light. So if one is an earth seed, the origin of one's soul is a single photon of light donated from the planetary consciousness of Earth itself. Whereas if someone is a starseed, the origins of someone's soul, tracing it all the way back, would be donated from some sort of planetary body elsewhere, be it in the Milky Way, be it in the Andromeda Galaxy, be it in many of the myriad of other galaxies that one can originate from, that commonly come in the Milky Way, or in rare cases, potentially, who knows, even from other universes. And even to say donated from a planetary consciousness, that's the model that kind of seems to most make sense, but I don't even know that for sure. I mean, it's possible, who knows? The origins of a soul could even come directly from a star in some cases, or even directly from a galaxy. But to be a starseed means the origins of one's soul is outside of Earth, and you've come here after. So if you, going back to briefly being an Earth seed, what happens after you begin as a single photon? Well, now you become 2, then you become 4, then you become 16, then you become, it's a logarithmic graph until you start to develop this light body. And then that light body can then incarnate physically into microorganisms, and then into various levels of complexity of plants, and then various levels of complexities of animals, until reaching what we would define as the third density, which is where the human kingdom is and where we get to have the human experience. Whereas if one is a starseed, one did that somewhere else and went way further into the fourth density, where one is now merging with a collective and both acting as the collective and as the self. A fifth density where there's no longer physical structures, no longer physical organs, but now one is a holographic body. To a sixth density where now all of the consciousnesses that were in the fifth density of a particular planet have merged into an entire cohesive planetary body acting as one. And from that level or higher, and really, I always like to also give credit to my good friend Todd Deviney, who has penned, channeled 3 incredible books, Expansion, First Ending Conscious, books 1 through 3, and I've really adapted this model off of his incredible channeled material. And from that 6th density or higher, we have so much energy available to us. Think about the energy available to you if you could access the heart of Mother Earth, access the energy that is available to the Earth. And at a higher, in an 8th density, it's the energy of a star. At a 10th density, it's the energy of a galaxy. And accessing the energy of a planet, a star, or a galaxy to create anything. And what you're doing is you're creating what's called a fractal. You're harnessing the energy of the entire planetary body, or the entire star body, or in rare cases, the entire galactic body, and then you're going, and you're sending. You can think of it like you're blowing through a straw. You're blowing air through a straw, and sending this concentrated energy and directing it exactly where you want to become, where you want to go. So for those of us that came to Earth, whether we came from Sirius or the Pleiades or Lyra or Arcturus or the Andromeda Galaxy or Galaxy M65 or M81 or wherever we came from, that aspect of self that's operating at that much higher realm, 6th density, 7th density, 8th density, 9th density, 10th density. And when I say density, it's a little different than dimension. But from there, we had so much energy available. We focused that energy, again, like blowing through a straw, and we sent it exactly where we wanted to come. And it's like a soul birth. If you here on Earth, we women, you give birth, a lot of you, right? But if you think of it as like a soul, which is this larger circle, oval sphere, and it's giving birth to this miniature sphere out of it, and then blowing that through the straw, sending it to exactly where you want to send it, that fractal now enters into the astral realm of wherever it's going. So coming to Earth, you came into the astral realm of Earth, and once you're in the astral realm, you now are able to enter into the reincarnation cycle of Earth, and you're able to play the games of Earth just as the Earth seeds are able to. The difference being is you actually, in reality, are a fractal, and as that fractal, you have access at any moment to the entirety, the enormity of the experience, the wisdom accumulated, the experiences accumulated of that greater galactic piece of self, who may have had experiences in Sirius, Arcturus, Pleiades, Lyra, etc. But you're kind of intentionally putting that aside momentarily to experience the reincarnation cycle of Earth, to experience the Earth games, to experience what the 3rd density is like. Because think of it like this, as a starseed, you've long ago ascended to such an incredibly high frequency, to such a high level of existence. You know, the Syrians that I channel, because I trans-channel a group of Syrian extraterrestrials, they go on at length describing how peaceful, how cohesive, how wonderful their existence is and their civilization is. It's just peace. It's just joy. It's just fun. It's play. It's creation. It's accumulating knowledge. It's teaching knowledge. There's no strife. There's none of the yucky, mucky 3rd density, 3rd dimensional, stuff that we have going on here. You can look at the news today for more. I mean, every day there's something, yucky that's happening on planet Earth, right? But you're coming from a place like that, and you're like, wow, it's been a while. It's been billions of years since I've experienced what it's like to be in a 3rd density, to be in a realm of duality, which is an inherent feature of Earth. Wouldn't that be interesting to re-experience that? And your teachers from the place you come would say, well, are you sure you're ready for that? And if you're ready, you're ready, because it's not easy, you know? We all know that life on Earth is not easy for all of us, right? But you're coming here in order to re-experience it, not just to experience it. That's part of it, because part of the game is, you know, when you go, you know, we're at the end of summer now, and, you know, you go in the pool with your kids, or, you know, or you go in the lake, and wherever there's a buoy, right? So, you know, like when I was a kid, whenever I went in the pool, I don't know why, I just always found it to be really fun to just like sit on the buoys that were delineating the shallow end from the deep end. And then, I don't know, like kind of, you know, flip my butt off and, you know, feel the buoys, you know, pop back up. So if you take your hand and you push a buoy down underneath the water, well, what happens is as soon as you remove your hand, it pops back up, right? Well, what's happening is a fractal coming from a higher realm, coming to Earth. You're coming from a 6th density to a 3rd density, or an 8th density to a 3rd density. You're artificially pushing yourself down into density. And the water analogy is really great because it feels denser underneath the water, right? That's why, you know, if you try to run in the pool, right, it takes more effort. You know, that's why water aerobics are really healthy, and it can be great for healing stuff, right? But you're artificially pushing yourself down, and in order to see what the journey back up through the densities, going back the other direction, it's like a boomerang is another analogy as well. Those of you that are in Australia, or, you know, I have my Aboriginal boomerang from when I was, you know, exploring some of the Aboriginal places in Australia. And same thing with a traditional boomerang. You send it out, and the idea is it comes back, right? So that journey back, after artificially pushing yourself down into a lower dimension, is part of the whole intention of it. It's like, okay, wouldn't this be interesting to intentionally put myself back into a low dimension to see how long it takes me, where it takes me, what sort of experiences I have to rise back up and reascend. In reality, for all of us that are Starseeds, and, you know, everyone probably listening to this call and hearing the replay, probably you are a Starseed if you found this. I mean, the people that find me are Starseeds, you know? And so you're reascending. It's important to understand that. You've already ascended way, 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 way past anywhere that we're going to be going in the ascension on Earth in the next century. Way farther. And you're doing it again because, A, it's interesting. It's an interesting challenge. But also, in the process of reascending, you wanted to bring something to the planetary ascension. There's the individual ascension, which I talked about, but then there's the planetary ascension. Earth herself, we all know, like you know, directed us to in the wonderful opening meditation, is ascending into the new Earth, the new Earth grids, right? This is a real thing that's happening. And most of us listening, you know, have started to understand this. And as a Starseed, there's something very particular that you wanted to bring from where you come from and contribute to the puzzle. Imagine, you know, those of you that, especially the older generation, and I don't know, I'm starting to get a little, you know, bit past my youth and into being like, what is going on with these kids these days, right? Not really understanding the TikTok generation. But like, we remember doing puzzles, right? Like actual puzzles with your hands, right? I remember being a kid, like my parents would buy a puzzle and we'd do it as a family. It was a fun thing, right? Well, you can think of the planetary ascension like a puzzle, but it's a puzzle with really billions of pieces. And each and every one of us has a particular puzzle piece. And if you're here, you have a puzzle piece. You have to. You can't not. You do. And it's crucial. It's the ascension puzzle cannot be completed without your puzzle piece, without my puzzle piece, without everyone that's listening's puzzle piece, right? So your role in your individual ascension is to refine your puzzle piece. So because you've had hundreds of lifetimes or thousands of lifetimes on Earth where you've been traumatized in certain ways and you've built up karma, we all have. I'm a starseed. I built up a lot of karma. We all have, right? It's part of the Earth game. Your puzzle piece gets really jagged and it gets inexact. So during the ascension lifetime, which is where I'm at, you're at, most people listening to this are at, the ascension lifetime is where your soul says, okay, now is the time where I'm ready to handle all the karma I need to handle, to refine in all ways I need to grow in all ways I need to spiritually, in order to kind of catch up to where the Earth herself is at, and in order to graduate to the fourth density. Again, really, it's a regraduation, right? So during this lifetime, your puzzle piece, you are refining it, and it's starting to become smooth, and it's starting to become exactly as it was intended to, the intended blueprint, if you will, which will fit in perfectly with the rest of the puzzle board when everyone else's puzzle pieces are ready. And in the whole context of the planetary ascension, the reason why things seem very slow, the reason why it seems like we're waiting a while, and we will be likely waiting a while for the whole, ascension of the planet to be completed, is because it does take all the individuals that are intending to be a part of it to actualize into their ascended self. And we're just at a point, where, as in the series remind us of this a lot on our Ascendings One call, that it's just a very small minority still. We are the leading edge. We're those of you that live by the ocean, right? You go to the beach on a windy day, there's whitecaps. We are the whitecaps. The whitecap is the leading edge of the wave, right? But what's behind the whitecaps, the rest of that wave, is the rest of the planet. And really the starseed, 99.99% of those that are on a conscious awakening path, those that are in their ascension lifetime right now, as I spoke about that we are starseeds. And there's a few earth seeds sprinkled in, but what's happening is because we, as the starseeds, have already ascended and we're just doing this again, we are leading the way. We are pushing the way forward for all of the earth seeds. And that's what it takes for the planet to ascend. That's what it takes for that puzzle board to be completed.
Yeah, wow. Oof. Thank you for that. That was what is a starseed. Thank you for I love and appreciate the depth and the precision of your answer and of your perspective. And you've answered already many questions that were kind of floating in the orb of grace. So thank you for that. And at the same time, many more questions are arising. But let's ask you, Matthew, how did you figure out that you're a starseed?
Yeah. So for me, it was a progression of like footprints in the sand that I was following, so to speak, breadcrumbs, right? There was a particular experience that changed everything for me, and it was one that I'll just never forget. And every time I even describe it, it takes me back there. It was at the very, very beginnings of my conscious spiritual journey. Before then, I had kind of just explored a little bit, had come across a few spiritual books here and there, but was still honestly an atheist. I grew up an atheist. My dad was an atheist. my mom, New Age, but I kind of thought all the New Age crystal stuff that she was into was kind of silly, you know, especially being a teenager, right? And but in my early 20s, I had this experience where I'd started kind of experimenting with mushrooms, but not for consciousness expansion, just because I was like 22 or something, and I was like, oh, this feels good. Right? And it was no spiritual intention whatsoever. It was something like, oh, here, it's Friday night. Let me see what happens if I take a few of these and then go to the college bar, right? Mm-hmm. But it was a really strange particular Friday night. You know, oddly enough, I think of it, it was very close. Right now we're mid-September. It was mid-September because it was like right in that beautiful transition period where you're moving from summer to just like a few of those early leaves that get the little spots on them starting to fly off, and a little bit of that chill in the air, you know, as the sun goes down a little bit earlier. And it was a Friday night. I just kind of had the intention to go bar hop between a few bars, you know, in downtown Buffalo. And I had taken these mushrooms, and something was really different about this night and this experience. And I was in this bar, and I started feeling like, whoa, I can't be here anymore. I gotta leave. And I just started walking and wandering. And then after a little bit, I started just feeling myself, more than anything, just being led. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. I'm just going to go with this. And I just found myself being walked. It wasn't even like I was walking anymore. I was being walked. And I just kept following it. And I was led to the strangest area. And really, it's so poetic. It's the strangest possible area to have a spiritual awakening. It was this little circle next to some train tracks. And it was an area where, like, it was in the woods behind these bars, right adjacent to the train tracks, and it looked like an area where teenagers had been drinking beer, where homeless people had been sleeping. There were tarps, there was clothes, there were beer cans. Again, the poeticness of this, of it being like the least spiritual place to have a spiritual awakening, yet also the most spiritual place, because it's, you know, it's life, it's reality. And I was in this circle. And I found myself just pushed to the ground, and I couldn't resist. I was pushed to the ground. I was laying on my back, and I was in this stasis all of a sudden. I couldn't move. And I started feeling these waves of energy come over my body, from my toes up to my head and back down, these waves. And it felt really good. I described it after as like a cosmic orgasm, like 10,000 times more powerful than any physical orgasm I'd ever had. And as I was laying there in this euphoric state, I looked up around me at the trees. Again, it was like this circle, and all the trees around me, every corner of every leaf had this golden orb, this golden sphere. And in every one of these golden spheres, there were these little characters, and they were all waving at me. And I realized that every one of these little characters was me, but they were different versions of me. They were versions of me from other lifetimes on Earth, and they were versions of me from other places off of Earth. And I started waving back to all of these little versions of me. And in that moment, I went from being an atheist and thinking that the other, you know, the idea of other lifetimes was, but no, that's kind of stupid. Definitely the idea of like there being extraterrestrials or coming from, you know, off planet was, no, that's stupid. In that moment, I went from that to knowing without any speck of a doubt my multidimensionality, not only realizing that I had other lifetimes, many other lifetimes, not only realizing that I came from off planet because I was seeing these versions of myself, but also realizing that they all are me and I am them and I am everything. And that I am one with God. God is me. I am everything. And from that moment forward, everything changed in my life. I had no interest in the traditional route of school. I had no interest in ever getting a real job. All I really cared about after that was seeking out what that experience was and just learning about what life really is and past lives and the soul plan and, traveling around the world. Like I said, going to Uluru and getting in touch with that. And it just led me on this journey of seeking. And there was another experience where I again was coming off of this time an intentional plant medicine journey. And I found myself at a public library, just like in this post-glow after the plant medicine ceremony, and just perusing the internet for some reason. I came across this website. It looked like it was from like 1998, like GeoCities website. And it was talking about starseeds. And I'm like, wow, that's an interesting word. What is that? And I started reading all the descriptions. And as soon as my eyes got to Sirius, I'm like, oh my God, that's me. That is me. I didn't know why, didn't know how. I just said, that's me. And then I scrolled down a little further, and then Andromeda. Like, that's interesting as well. And that took me a while too, because at first I thought that, oh, okay, I think you're supposed to be from one place, right? But it took me a little bit later in other experiences to realize that, oh wait, like one day I was visited many years later after that. This is when I started, my third eye, my crown got totally open, and I started being able to see everything, all sorts of things, and travel, astral travel, etc. But I was visited one day by a blue avian, and it was quite an experience, and it lasted like 10 seconds, but I was visited by a literal blue avian and extraterrestrial. And I realized that the visit was to confirm that I am also a blue avian, and no wonder I'm obsessed with birds. No wonder I'm obsessed with flight. No wonder I love talking to pilots, airline pilots about planes, and I love planes because I'm a blue avian, right? So I realized that you can be from more than one place, which is important because we're going to do readings for people. And I want people to understand that for a lot of starseeds, there's a journey you've taken, and you don't have to just be from one place. You could be from 13 different places and have found yourself on Earth.
So in these 13, is there one origin and 12 other places where you've had a significant experience or period of time, or however we measure it, or is it, can it be as many as 13 origins?
It's a great question. So think of it as like this. I talked about the soul birth, right? So think of it as every individual soul has its own timeline that is very individual and that is very, it's completely separate from any measurement of time outside of that. Meaning, like this is a relevant understanding, for example, to understand that when you incarnate, you're in a reincarnation cycle on Earth, you don't necessarily have to have lifetimes that are chronologically in order based on our perception of time. This is how people have, because a lot of the work I've done over the past decade plus has been past life regression work with people, because that's another passion of mine. That's a whole other show, is past life on Earth. But for example, like, someone could be born in 1700 and die in 1780, and then have another life that started in 1750 and die in 1820, right? They can overlap. Or one can jump from the Roman Empire to Atlantis to the modern day. Like there's no dependence on chronological order. So think of it as your soul has this like line. You visualize like this line, right? So there's a dot or a circle representing the birth, the soul birth. As I said, the soul birth for a starseed is somewhere in the Milky Way or somewhere outside the Milky Way. Let's say, for example, which is very common, that Milky Way starseeds, if we trace your soul all the way back, that it actually, you originate from the Andromeda galaxy. Not all of you, but it's common. So let's say you originate from the Andromeda galaxy, and that's the beginning dot. Okay, now you've gone through, as I described before, the densities of experience until you reach that sixth density, et cetera. Now, let's see, you're drawing a line from that Andromedan galaxy place to the Milky Way. Let's say you go to Lyra. Okay, now you're having your experiences in Lyra, and you may naturally, no matter what, everything is on an ascension journey, okay? And that's important to understand. Even if one is not realizing it, and a lot of people on Earth are not conscious of it, and they're not really, they're not accelerating into it as we are, those that are on the conscious ascension journey, but everything in creation, all souls are always on, because the natural trajectory of souls is once a soul is born, is to go on the path to returning to source, essentially. And source, that return to source is the highest possible level if we were kind of, drawing it out in steps. So you go to Lyra and you're naturally, again, starting to rise up, starting to elevate. It's like no matter where you go, you're kind of naturally rising up off your feet, metaphorically speaking, into higher dimensions of existence individually. And you say, okay, this is interesting. What would it be like to go even lower? So then you fractalize again, and then you could draw a line from Lyra, and let's say you send yourself to the Pleiades. You go a little bit lower, right? Okay, then you have experiences. You could be millions of years on the Pleiades, and you say, isn't this interesting? What if I go even lower? And then you draw a line from there, maybe go to Earth, right? So let's say in that example, someone that their origins all the way back is Andromeda, then the first stop in the Milky Way was Lyra, and then the Pleiades, and then Earth. So if you're thinking of it linearly, you could say Andromeda, then Lyra, then Pleiades, and then Earth. And I try to do this for people in the readings. I try to, if they're interested, kind of draw the progression of it, right? But then from the Earth self, it's like, okay, as you're reascending, well, it's like almost you're doing it in return, because then you're going to return back to the Pleiades. So when those of you that are reascending consciously, for some of you, this will be your final lifetime on Earth. Not for all of you. Some of us will, want to enthusiastically return and be a part of the new Earth and continue to contribute in the physical. Some of us after this lifetime will want to just be a part of the angelic realm of Earth, and some of us will say, well, I did my work here and that was enough, and you'll head back to the last stop, essentially. It's like you're on the train in Paris, right? And what was the last stop of the train? That's where you head back to.
Right, yeah, you trace back your steps, yeah.
Exactly. You trace back your steps.
Your cosmic steps.
And then there's, this free will factor, and maybe you go back to the Pleiades and you say, oh, I love being a Pleiadian. That was so fun being on Earth. Is there another maybe lower density planet or realm, astral realm, that needs my help? Let me go there, right? But someday you say, that was fun. The Milky Way was great. And you head back to the Andromeda galaxy. And it's all, it's dreams within dreams within dreams within dreams. Someday, like when those of you that are Pleiadian, you head back to the Pleiades. And this whole experience on Earth, which may have been 1,500 lifetimes or 2,000 lifetimes or 800 lifetimes, it's going to just feel like a dream. Just it was a dream, but wow, what an interesting dream. And there'll be a sense of mission completed, and a sense of the service, what you contributed, because we're all here to contribute particular things. We're contributing our codes, first of all. You know, I'm a Syrian, so I'm here contributing the Syrian codes. Syrian codes, a lot of it is about lightness and levity, humor, right? It's about the oceans, the water. It's about animals. I'm also contributing Orion codes. That's about truth, discovery. I'm contributing the Blue Avian codes. It's about community. It's about the big picture of moving from density to lightness, the air elements, right? And I'm contributing the Andromedan codes, which is, you know, those of us that come from the Andromeda galaxy, we're pattern recognizers. We recognize the greater patterns, as you do, for sure, Sophie, in things. And it's because in the metaphor is like you're looking down at the Milky Way from a stoop, because the Andromeda galaxy is a big system. I should mention the reason why so many Milky Way souls originate from the Andromeda galaxy is because the Andromeda galaxy is the big sister galaxy. And science knows, our scientists are pretty darn good for being in a third density, actually. And they know that our Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxy are on this very, very slow collision path, which will take billions of years, but eventually will merge into a super galaxy. And just as we're all on an individual ascension journey, our planet herself is on an ascension journey, our star is on an ascension journey, and our galaxy is on an ascension journey. And the next step up in the evolution of both the Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxy is to, you guessed it, merge into a super galaxy, and that'll be the next step up. Everything is always on a trajectory of ascension. So because of that, so many Milky Way souls, and I don't just mean on Earth, I mean everywhere in the Milky Way. And Milky Way, you know, is vaster than we can even conceptualize. But so many of those souls came from the Andromeda galaxy because the idea is, well, we're coming from a higher level of experience. Let's go to the Milky Way and help lift up the vibration of the entire Milky Way through us being there. The way that planetary bodies, star systems, galaxies get lifted is through the individual souls going there and lifting it.
Right.
And that's the essence of understanding the ascension, and why it's so important to understand starseeds and that you're a starseed is because you came here from another realm with more experience, more wisdom, and from a higher vibration, a higher density, to be here and help uplift this planet into a higher dimension, a higher density.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Matthew. I love not only what you share is fascinating, but I find that through your sharing, you are restoring how fascinating we are as a species, and our journey is fascinating. And I think, you know, sometimes probably I believe that many starseeds sometimes have a hard time on Earth and are like, oh, wow, I just wish, why did I make that choice? Or, you know, I just wish I'm done with this. But
I hear it every day from
you know,
people.
yeah, right.
Yeah, every day I hear
so
it.
I love that through your sharing, I find that it's opening our hearts to ourselves, to the beauty and how fascinating is our journey and the journey that we willingly embarked on, right? We were never forced.
Exactly.
It's our soul's choice and decision and journey.
Enthusiastically, in reality, with more enthusiasm than you could ever imagine, you came here.
Yeah, but imagine that.
Yeah, exactly, and imagine that for. I mean, it's so hard to conceptualize and fathom, especially for those starseeds that have been traumatized. For those starseeds that are in regions of war around the planet right now, and there's many. You know, it's like, wow, like what, how, why, right? Well, because you understood coming here the rules of the game. And the rules of the game of Earth is part of it is you have to play both sides of light and dark. And you have to experience light and dark because that's the fundamental feature of the third density is the duality of light and dark. It's a fundamental feature. So you must experience it when you come here. And you're not going to necessarily experience it all in the context of a single lifetime. That's why you enter into the reincarnation cycle here, and you have hundreds of lifetimes or more, because it gives you the opportunity to experience the whole realm of experience. I'm also an astrologer, and one thing I like to describe for those that are astrology-minded is that, you know how every sign has a shadow aspect to it. Every sign has a positive aspect and also a shadow, right? Scorpio, right? I'm a Scorpio. Scorpio season's coming up. Scorpio is charming. Scorpio is wisdom. But the shadow might be jealousy, pettiness, right, etc. Those of you that are Scorpios, you know what I'm talking about. And we come here to experience all 12 signs of the zodiac wheel, both the lighter aspects and the shadow aspects, over and over again. Or it's like a Shakespearean play. If you take all of William Shakespeare's plays, you can kind of see that every possible, although it was in the context of long ago, but every possible human emotional experience is experienced through Shakespeare's plays. And you could think of it as you come here, part of the games of engagement are to have every possible emotional experience over and over again. Not just that, but to experience yourself in all sorts of different bodies. I had another experience on a plant medicine journey where I had taken a break from the journey and I had gone into a bathroom at this campground, and I looked in the mirror and I watched my form, like physically, with my eyes, it appeared physically morph into all of these different people. A black woman, a Native American man, a Native American woman, an Asian man. And it was all these different other lifetimes that I'd had, and even different extraterrestrials. And it was such a wonderful experiential experience, like the other experience I described to you guys, of like, wow, I am definitely all of these people, and I have been, and it's all relevant, right? So you come here, not every lifetime is pleasant, not even the pleasant lifetimes. A lot of us, are in a relatively pleasant lifetime compared to some other lifetimes we've had, but also most of us have had other lifetimes on Earth that were a lot more pleasant. Like, for example, those of us that had Lemurian lifetimes, right? Those of us that, like you and I, that were in Lemuria, those were much more pleasant experiences, except for the lifetime at the end of Lemuria.
Except for the end of it. That's right.
The end of it was not so nice. No. But before that, it was pretty pleasant, right? So you're not here to experience pleasantness, which is kind of a tough pill to swallow. You're here to experience it all. You're here to experience the pain and trauma of Romeo and Juliet, and also the moments of love and the moments of passion and the moments of clarity and purpose in Romeo and Juliet. You're here to experience all of it over and over again until you say, on a soul level, and it's the soul, not the person, the soul says, okay, that's enough, ça suffit. I experienced, enough of that, all those emotional experiences. Now I'm just ready to ascend. And so that's when you enter into the ascension lifetime, and the portion of the ascension lifetime when you're really accelerating. I'm at that point now. You're there. A lot of us listening are there. And this is when we start to really very rapidly develop into a much more spiritually mature character, whereas, the things that bothered us before don't bother us anymore. We're able to look at others with more compassion and love. We're able to forgive much quicker than before. We're able to look at the chaos of the world and not get sucked into it and see it from a more non-dual perspective. We're able to step into our purpose as a starseed I'm doing it, you're doing it, a lot of us listening are doing it, but a lot aren't as well, and I'm here to help for those that aren't yet,
Yeah.
as you are. But
Yeah.
you step into that, and really, you're starting to embody more of the soul and less of the aspects of ego that you had accumulated through all of the physical lifetimes on Earth. And also, you're starting to embody the starseed self. So the more that I ascend, the more I become a Syrian, although I don't look blue. But I did have an experience.
Not yet.
I had another. Not well. No. Well, if I drink too much colloidal silver, maybe who knows? But I try not to drink too much of it. But I had an experience actually. Funny enough, on plant medicine years ago, where at the end of the work, at the end of the ceremony, this guy Mike from the UK, he turns to me and he's like, "Matt, like, did you see I was staring at you?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, because during the session, you'd like, at a certain point, he stared at me for like 5 minutes. I was like, "Okay." "Hi, Mike." And he's like, "Yeah, I saw you. You were blue.
Wow.
You were this
There
giant blue being." I'm like, "Oh my God, that's the Syrian self." Right? And he was Syrian too.
Being witnessed.
So, yeah.
Being witnessed.
So,
Wow.
exactly. So without literally turning blue,
yeah.
I become more and more of the Syrian. And for those of you that are Syrian, same. For those of you that are Pleiadian, you become more Pleiadian without looking like a Pleiadian. And that's, by the way, an important little caveat is like, I get people that are, that are black and they're like, "Oh, how am I Pleiadian?" Because there's no correlation at all. Am I blue? No. There's no correlation between what you look like in this life and, like those of you that are like mantis starseeds, do you look like a praying mantis? No.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's no correlation. It's about the soul. It's about the soul.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Wow. This is such a rich conversation, and we could go into so many directions, but we're going to want to go to the readings very soon because everybody wants to know. But there's one thing I want to comment on before we go into the readings, because I believe that it's going to be very meaningful to the audience, is that from hearing you, I get the sense that as humans, as starseed incarnated humans, we may feel sometimes that we don't have the strength or we don't have the courage, right? Or we may be discouraged. But hearing you, I get the sense of that we have such courage as a soul. What you said, that we too, not only we made that choice, but we made it. We made that choice enthusiastically. To me, it reveals that we have such a tremendous courage, and it's important, I believe, to be aware of that, of like we have such a resource of courage that is available to us that we may not be aware of. I get tears in my eyes, and courage it is so precious. It's a quality of the heart, right? Courage comes from the French word cœur, right? Right? It is a tremendous quality of the heart, and I believe that it's important to highlight this and to, as we go on from this call, that we also take this as a key point, that we have the courage. We have tremendous courage. And we just need to tap into it, right? To tap into it. So I felt that this was important to pinpoint from what you shared, this emerged. So, Matthew, are you ready to take a few readings? We're going to want you to share more, but everybody wants to know, of course. So let's take a live caller to begin with. We're going to take Lucy, has raised her hand. So I'm muting you, Lucy. Hello, Lucy.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Hi there. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay.
So are you ready for your reading from Matthew?
I am. I'm excited.
Thank you. Okay,
Okay.
Matthew.
So I guess I'll just get right into it.
Yeah, go right
And
into it.
yeah, okay, great. So Lucy, let me what the way that I do these is I kind of see a map shown to me in my third eye, and I get shown where someone's from. So ask my guys to show me, where is Lucy from in the stars? Okay. And just take a moment. They can show me all the different places. So yeah, Lucy, you're definitely someone that's from a number of different realms. The first one I was shown was Orion. I was also shown Arcturus. I was shown the Pleiades. I was shown Lyra. And originating from the Andromeda galaxy. And my sense is that I think the Pleiades, it was the most recent place, and before that Orion. And so I think you're going to resonate most with being a Pleiadian. So Pleiadian starseeds, some of the qualities that are pretty ubiquitous are being really interested in relationships, being really interested in community. The Pleiadians, they teach us, the Pleiadians help to set up literally the golden age of Lemuria. They helped us to understand how to form communities where we grew our own food together, where we gathered in prayer together, where we gathered in healing circles together, where we raised our children together, right? So Pleiadian starseeds are here to learn and navigate life through the context of relationships, through the context of family, and through the context of also connecting with the animal world as well, with animals. And then the Orion piece, and the Orion starseeds I mentioned before, we're the truth gatherers. We're here to discover and work with the depths and the deepest stuff, the deepest parts of the psyche, like Orion starseeds like myself and like you, Lucy, and Sophie, you as well, is my feeling. The Orion is a piece of you as well. And that's what makes you such a good healer, is because you want to get to the depths of stuff, get to the depths of what's really going on inside someone. So, and then all the other pieces, the Lyran piece, Lyran starseeds are here to teach us about culture. And I think you might have a piece of Lyran in you as well, Sophie. Lyrans are the ones that like to travel the world and experience different cuisine and different language and different, different climates and geographical experiences and the different flora and fauna. The Lyrans are here helping us as a planet to merge culturally. Like, one of the interesting phenomena of history is that over the past, especially 50 years, we could say English has started to really become the language of the world, right? And that's by design from a higher level. It's not just about this homogenization that you could kind of, label as being more work of the dark occult. It's also on a higher level about bringing, you go to Manhattan or or Paris even, right? And you have all of the cuisine. Like, I'm a New Yorker, so I'm going to be biased and say Manhattan has the best food on planet Earth, right? You want Pakistani food, you want Turkish food, you want Lebanese food, right? Every possible cuisine, because every culture has taken their culture and opened up a restaurant or opened up a fashion shop. And then Manhattan becomes this incredible melting pot of every culture on planet Earth, all in one island, right? And that's what the Lyrans are here teaching us. They're teaching us, Lyran starseeds are helping us with that merging of culture. And it's not a dissolving of culture. It's a joining together. It's like all cultures standing together, holding hands in a circle and offering something slightly unique and contributing into this pot that becomes this amazing whole, right? And that's what the Lyrans are bringing. So, Lucy, do some of those resonate with you?
Yeah. because I thought that I was a galactic traveler.
Galactic travel. You know what's so
There you
cool?
go.
Hold on. Wait. You know what's so cool is that's a term that I use all the time, and I hadn't even used that term on today's call yet. So thank you for
That's
bringing it
right.
up. That's the term that I use for Andromedan starseeds that have had a whole bunch of different stops in the Milky Way. Oh, I'm sorry, and I forgot one. Arcturus. Arcturus was one they showed me. And Arcturian starseeds are cerebral. They're intelligent. Arcturian starseeds are our scientists. There are scientists. There are musicians. Sirians are musicians as well, but Arcturian starseeds are really oriented towards sound, and they're also our plant people. They're the ones that are the gardeners and the horticulturalists, etc. And Arcturians are but they're so cerebral, where they really want to understand things on a very logical level, like I like to describe things as well. So yeah, as a galactic traveler, Lucy, you're going to have all of those pieces in you. You're very multi-dimensional in that sense.
Oh my goodness.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
Blessings to you, Lucy. Thank you for being with us.
And you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Okay, that's something. Okay, let's take one from the Q&A. We'll take the request from Terry in Huntington Beach, California. Where is Terry a starseed? Where is her soul from?
Okay, sure. Yeah, let me ask my guide to show me where Terry is from. Okay. So I'm seeing one. I just want to make sure they fill in the whole map for me. Terry is Syrian, primarily, so she's going to primarily resonate with Sirius. And as I mentioned a little bit before, the Syrians, they bring lightness and humor. So many of our comedians, our actors on this planet are Syrian starseeds. So many of our musical artists are Syrian starseeds, whether they know it or not. A lot of them are starting, a lot of the entertainment people are starting to wake up to this stuff and do actually understand this. But, a lot don't yet. But also the water, right? Syrians are here to be protectors of the water. If you're a Syrian starseed, the water is going to be one of the most healing things for you. Every time I go swimming here in Lake Ontario, it's just like being embraced by the greatest womb that I could be embraced by. It's returning to the true mother is the water, right? And Syrian starseeds, you will feel that. I also happen to be a water sign, and a lot of Syrian starseeds are either a water, sun, moon, or ascendant in Western astrology. That's a piece of it as well. But so you'll resonate with the water. You'll resonate with the color blue. You'll resonate with crystals. Syrians are also the crystal keepers of planet Earth. So Syrians, especially quartz, because on the Syrian planets that are mostly land planets, they live amongst quartz. They build their buildings out of pure quartz. You'll see, for those of you that ever travel astrally to Sirius, and part of the wonderful work I've done over the past decade plus is leading hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of astral regression journeys where people get to travel to their home planet astrally, which is really cool. And you'll see these giant crystal pyramids, these crystal spheres, these crystal obelisks, and also where they live. A lot of them will live in these apartments that are essentially carved into the earth, where it's all quartz. Everything, the floor is quartz, the ceiling is quartz, the cabinets are quartz, everything is quartz. So those of us that are Syrians, we are really adept just naturally at working with crystals. So if you're Syrian, water and crystals are the key. Water, crystals, and humor. Those are the three keys. Right? So Syrian, so Sirius, also Arcturus, and I described the Arcturians a little bit, Andromeda, and then also you're, Terry, from a galaxy in the Gemini part of the sky. So using, the ISO's, the International Space Organization's delineations of the 12 quadrants of the sky, by the zodiac wheel, you'd be from a galaxy in the Gemini part of the sky originally, then Andromeda, then coming to the Milky Way, Arcturus, and then Sirius, and then Earth.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. Blessings to you. Thank you, Matthew. Okay, we're going to come back and get you to do more readings, but there are so many requests. There's no way we're going to get all the requests completed today, but because of that and with that, I'd like to jump on having you share, Matthew, about your special offer, because that's where all these questions, because in the Q&A, we have the readings requests, but we also have many, many questions that are being asked. And there's a way that we can have, other than today's call, there's a way that we can have all our answers, questions answered by you. So I'd love for you to share about this wonderful offering that you've created, Accelerate Your Ascension. So for everyone to follow, if you're on the phone, you can go to you can go on the web to gracefulconnections.com/Matthew4. That's graceful with 2 L's, and Matthew, MATTHEW4, gracefulconnections.com/Matthew4. If you're on the webcast, you have a button and a link that you can click. And if you're on the replay, just scroll down the page to discover Matthew's special offer. So Matthew, please reveal what you've created for our audience, and maybe start with option 2, and then we'll add up to it to talk about option 1. Is that okay?
No, that's great. I think that's perfect. And, it's good that people have the 2 options, because think of it as like, where are you at with this? Are you saying like, all right, this is interesting. I think I might want to dive a little deeper and understand this a bit more. Or you're like, I am so all in with this. Right? I am so fascinated.
I am so hungry.
I need a reading with Matthew, because the main feature of option 1 is you're going to get a private session with me, which is it's a wonderful opportunity, because in the private sessions I answer all of your questions. I do my best to answer all of your questions, and especially the real big questions. But starting with option 2, you're going to get into my Ascending as One program, which I mentioned before. Ascending as One is my signature group mentorship program. I've had such incredible results with this program, and it's such a cool community that I've built with it, because there's people from dozens of countries around the world that are in on it, and the calls are so fun because there's so many people that are on there, and you get to watch me not only teach astrology, as I said, I'm an astrologer. They're 3-hour calls, sometimes even longer. They're really robust calls. The first hour is astrology, where I'm going to go over everything that's going on in the stars, from the eclipses to the full moon to the new moon, to what the outer planets are doing, to what Chiron is doing, to what Lilith is doing, all the way down to the inner planets, all the way down to what the sun and moon are doing. And then I'm going to show you every aspect that's being made for the week to come, and all the moon void courses, etc. And some of you are like, oh my God, that would be great if you're an astrology buff, right? Some of you are like, I don't really understand what you mean when you say Chiron or a moon void course or whatever. And it's great, because wherever you're at, you're either gonna, kind of understand astrology more deeply than before, or you're gonna learn astrology. One of the cool things is I've done this program for a couple of years now, and so many dozens and dozens of people I've heard, they're like, I wasn't that interested or knowledgeable about astrology until I did your program, and now I'm like getting it, and I'm like teaching my friends about it, right? And I know how to read my natal chart. So the first hour of every call is astrology. It shows you how to plan your week to come, because you know exactly what the stars are doing. And one of the biggest, most important things I've learned over the past 10 years is that the stars really are in charge of everything. And we can, the biggest shortcut to understanding our lives and life in general is understanding the stars, understanding astrology. And then the second and third hours, I'm going into a particular healing topic for that week. So, for example, those of you that do option 1 or 2, you're going to get to join in on the October 6th call, which is healing your masculine father wounds, right? So you're going to get to take a journey back through your ancestral lineage, and you're going to see, feel, understand all of the wounds that you are storing in your energy field that come from your ancestral lineage, specifically masculine wounds, wounds around the masculine energy. And we all carry this within us.
And that's for men and women, right? That's for
men, women, all people. Yes, all people, no matter what. We carry wounds from the masculine, from the feminine. And by the end of the call, you're going to clear out a ton of these. And you're going to feel really different. I've done this call a couple of years ago, and it was so powerful. And people had such incredible healing from just the 2 hours that we spent doing it. So these calls are not just informative and fun and community. They're also meant to be really healing. And then you get to do the October 13th call. October 13th call, we're digging in with intuition, helping you to refine your intuition in a deeper level than you've been able to before, right? How do you make decisions? How do you understand how your intuitive mechanism, which is going to be different than mine, which is going to be different than your sister's, works, right? Like, I've become really good at reading my intuition, and I wasn't. I'm a South Node Libra, and I used to be really indecisive, and really not understanding how my intuition works. I've gotten really good at it, and I teach it now, and every time I teach it, it strengthens my own. And then tarot. You're going to get to learn the tarot. Tarot 101 on October 20th. I'm going to teach you the basics that you need, the fundamentals, how to work with the major arcana. What is the journey of the major arcana? You're going to get to do understanding the human energy field, where I'm going to teach you, just as like those of you that have been to medical school, right? Those or those of you that have been to nursing school, you have to take anatomy classes, right? Human anatomy. Well, just as there's a physical human anatomy, there's also an energetic human anatomy, and I'm going to teach that to you. I'm going to teach you the 8 main chakras. I'm going to teach you the 2 ascension chakras above the crown, the 7 layers of the aura, the nadis, and much more. You're going to get to do the healing from grief call, which is going to be really powerful. I've been through a lot of grief over the past couple of years. A lot of you that are listening have. Get ready to cry on this call. Get ready to release. And, get ready to understand the journey of life and death, more deeply than before. And then Astrology 101, which that call I'm so looking forward to, because I get to teach you how to read a natal chart. I'm going to go so much more in depth than I do on the 1-hour astrology segment. And by the end of the call, the idea is that you can read your own natal chart, and with a little bit of practice after, you can start reading other people's natal charts, right? So these calls, they are so informative, and they're so healing, and they're such great community. You get to join in on our Telegram group, which is active every day, people from all over the world. And you get to make friends with people, whether close to you or on the other side of the world. People post every day in the Ascending as One Telegram group. And I'm there as well. You can ask me questions in the group as much as you want to. So that's like the introductory level. If you do, and you also get a couple of the recorded classes as a bonus, which are, really important. The understanding your Starseed origins, right?
Understanding you, I was going to say, one of which is understanding your Starseed origins. So that's a big one for our group today, for our audience.
It is, yeah. And on that call, what I do, I go through a wonderful presentation where I show you like every common, and there's dozens, every common place that starseeds come from in the Milky Way and outside the Milky Way, what they look like, what their traits are. And so the idea is by the end of watching that masterclass, you understand where you're from,
right.
Because you've seen the common traits. And also I go much more in depth. I gave a little preview at the beginning of this call today about the densities of reality, about the fractalization process, about the quantum physics of ascension. I go much more deeply into it on that call. Understanding and seeing your past lives, you get an option 2, which is great because that not only am I teaching you about how the reincarnation process works and about how to know what your past lives are, but you also get to take a journey. You get to take a past life regression journey on that masterclass. And you'll go to another lifetime and see it.
Yeah,
feel it.
and since you have the recording, because it's a video, you can use it so many times and do so many past life regressions. So that's gonna quench the thirst of many as well.
And then intro to mediumship. I'm also a medium, and I love teaching mediumship. And for those of you that feel like you're ready, or if you're not sure if you're ready and you just want to, explore and see if you're ready, do the Intro to Mediumship class. I teach you the protocol that I use every time I do mediumship. Every time I'm, in session with someone and I'm connecting with their loved one on the other side, I'm connecting with a particular, entity, guide on the other side. It's the same process. And so I teach you that process, and then we practice with it, and you have the tools you need if you want to then. See, the great thing about my masterclass is when they discover me, I hear this feedback a lot, and it's something I'm very intentional with, is instead of like jumping in and spending sometimes thousands of dollars, thousands of euros on some really, in-depth mentorship, first try my introductory courses, because I teach you in under 3 hours everything you need to know to do mediumship, everything you need to know to travel into past lives, everything you need to know about Starseeds, and I give you the tools, the protocols, to then run with it. And whether you want to then practice on your own, or then maybe you do want to take a more, expensive mentorship with someone else, fine. But try my introductory classes first, because you might realize you don't need that super expensive mentorship elsewhere, because I give you all the tools right here. These classes are such gems. I teach really quickly, and I teach really thoroughly. I'm a Virgo moon. I'm very thorough with everything. I try to give you every tool you need in under 3 hours. So
that's option. I just want to mention that these 3 videos, right, the ones that are not the live course, but understanding your starseed origins, past lives, and mediumship, we've labeled them starseed essentials, because they are essentials. And what I'm sensing is that between the way you teach, which we get to experience today and to really be impressed with, and there is also that as starseeds, we come with a lot of maybe dormant qualities and abilities that through your teaching and spending some time with you, and then having the ability to practice and to go back with the video, we can awaken. Like, do we need the in-depth course? Maybe not. Maybe, and in many cases, that's going to be the case, that with these Starseed Essentials, we're going to awaken abilities and qualities that are within us that are dormant. So,
I'm getting chills right now, because I'm so glad you're saying this, because it's actually making me realize, like, in this moment, why I kind of do things the way I do things.
Yeah.
And like, no one's explained it as precisely as you just did. And because I look back at my path, I had barely any teachers. And the teachers that I had, they were very brief. And I never spent a lot of money with any teachers.
There you go.
Everything that I teach was developed, I just downloaded. I downloaded everything, all the protocols. But why look back, is like, why was it so easy for me to just pick up mediumship out of kind of nowhere? Why why did I
because you had it in you, right?
Exactly, yeah.
How do you know astrology without studying astrology? Because you are an astrologer, right?
No,
and you master
I'm
the
getting
sky.
chills right now. I'm getting chills right now. You have no idea. Most of my astrologer colleagues that I hang out with at Conscious Life Expo or Stairway to the Stars or wherever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they went through traditional astrology schools, and I shared this at Stairway to the Stars in Vegas last year, how on the astrology panel that I learned astrology backwards because I was already doing my soul plan readings, which is something that I just downloaded to me, the ability to be able to read someone's life plan, to be able to read like, okay, this is what the soul had planned, like the game board of life, going back to board games, right? And I'm able to read that for people. I was already doing those readings for many years, and people started asking me, it's like, oh, I've got Jupiter in the 8th house squaring Mars. What does that mean? And at first I'm like, I don't know. That's a good question. And I started becoming really curious. And then what I would do is I would just start pulling up people's natal charts. I'd be like, hey, just for fun, can I pull up your natal chart? And starting to piece together what I was already reading and seeing how that related to the natal chart. And I started to understand astrology through that. Like, oh my God, I'm seeing this. This is in the life plan. That is Pluto's doing this. Jupiter's doing this. This conjunction between, Neptune and the sun and the 6th house is doing this. And then after that, I read some astrology books, and then I started studying a little bit more the traditional methods. But oh my God, was it quick? Was it a quick year that took me from not really knowing astrology to being able to teach it? I mean, and I'm not, look, there's the more advanced aspects of astrology that I do, leave to my colleagues like Rick Levine, but for my purposes and for relating astrology to the soul's plan, I've gotten pretty darn good at it. Right. And I can teach it now. But you're right. It's because I was an astrologer in another life. Right. You're right. And all of this stuff, in my Lemurian lives and other lifetimes on Earth, where I was a witch, where I was a seer, I did all this before, and so many people are like that. And it just takes
exactly as our
listeners. A nudge.
So these are Starseed essentials, right? In which we get to reawaken things that are within us, and we just need this prompt and to be sitting with you for a few hours and reawaken. So that's option 2. Now let's get to nudge. Exactly. Let's get to option 1. That's where it gets even more fascinating.
Yeah.
Option 1, the full package.
The full package. If you're saying, you know what, I'm all in. You're standing on the diving board, and you're going to dive in, which I hope you are, because you're going to be really happy you did. All right. Not only are you going to get everything in option 2, you're also going to get the live Sirian channeling calls. So I channel a group of Sirian extraterrestrials. They're wise, they're funny, they're really loving, and they love taking questions. So we sit on these calls. I do it in the last part of the ascending as one call is once a month. We go almost an hour usually. I get in the channel. They usually have about 30 minutes of they talk to us about our planet's history. They talk to us about our galaxy's history. They talk to us about what's coming in our future. They talk to us about how to, step into who we're meant to become, and just everything that's important and relevant to being a starseed. And then they take questions. And I open my eyes and I read the questions coming in on the Zoom chat, and they answer individual questions. They answer questions for the greater collective. And it's such an opportunity. You get to speak with extraterrestrials, and they're so profound. It's such profound wisdom that comes through because it's coming from such a higher realm. So you get to join in on that. October 12th, we have a Sirian channeling call. And before the Sirian channeling, I'm doing my Ancient Mysteries teaching. I'm going to teach you about where the pyramids came from, how they were built. I'm going to teach you about the Tartarian Empire. I'm going to teach you about all this ancient occult knowledge. And you can ask me any questions you want to know about the history of planet Earth, because I've gone deep into the rabbit hole with that. And we can also ask the Syrians anything as well that we want clarification on. And then also, that December call, you're going to get to join in on the winter solstice group activation. I do these wonderful, grand rituals for the solstices and the equinoxes, and you'll see me set up with crystals and candles and incense and grids and all sorts of stuff. I mean, we do this grand celebration welcoming the Sun King back, essentially, from his dormancy, because on the winter solstice, it's when the Sun King is at his sleepiest, so to speak, because it's when the nights are longest. But on that day, we welcome him back, because every day from that moment forward, he grows in strength as we move towards the summer solstice, right? So the winter solstice is a celebration of the return of the Sun King. It's a celebration of abundance, right? We're going to set our intentions as a group, and anything we do as a group, as you know, is so much more powerful than as an individual. And we're going to grow our intentions in such a powerful way. And it feels so good to do a ritual. I'm a Wiccan, and I always do something for the solstices and the equinox. And when I get to do it as a group, it's so great. And then we go from that, and the candles are still burning, and we do the Syrian channeling, and it's such a wonderful day. So you get to do that live with the group. You get a reading with me. As I said, you can ask me anything. You can ask me. There's a private reading, one-on-one.
Right, private session, right?
Sessions,
so all
right?
these questions that I see in the Q&A box, and there are so many excellent questions. This is, other, or in addition to where are my origins, right? Purpose, soul journey, missions, contracts, anything, and all these questions, fascinating questions about
your
Starseed
future
and everything.
And you want to know about your future, or you got a big decision coming up, or you're in a relationship that's confusing. Ask me anything. I've been doing this work a long time. I've done many thousands of readings. For me, I always like to joke I can do a reading anywhere, anytime.
And our soul's journey, I find that what you shared for Lucy, what you shared for Terry in those two readings, this is so not only fascinating, but it is precious. It is precious insights on our soul's journey. So this also can be part of it.
So ask me any of your questions.
Yeah,
and then you get to connecting with Lemuria and connecting with Atlantis master classes. You get to take, not only do I teach about the history of Lemuria and Atlantis on each of those respective calls, but you take a journey to Lemuria and a journey to Atlantis, and you'll figure out if you're from Lemuria and or Atlantis, which is another crucial piece of understanding self. And then the witchcraft and magic class. I'm a Wiccan witch, and I've been practicing for many years. And for those of you that want to learn a bit of white witchcraft, I teach you everything you need to know on this call to start to do candle magic and start to do other basic forms of magic. So, kind of the cherry on top.
Cherry on top. So these are three more Starseed essentials: the Lemuria, the Atlantis, and the witchcraft. So
because as Starseeds, whether we're a witch in this lifetime or in another lifetime, we've all been a witch. And that word witch has such a it has a heavy
connotation,
but it comes from religion, right? Literally, being a witch is just working with the elements. What is the pentagram? The pentagram is the 5 elements. That's all it is.
Right. So
and air,
simple,
earth,
and back to the
water, fire, and
the
ether is the 5th.
Essential.
Right? So that's what witchcraft is. It's working with the 5 elements. That's all it is. It's all it is. So what you get to do, when you embrace it, is you realize that, oh my God, I am a powerful creator, and if I want to manifest that new job, I'm going to manifest it. If I want to manifest that new relationship, I'm going to manifest it. If I want to manifest better health, I'm going to manifest it. I'm not going to just sit back. I'm going to actually really become a player in this game, and I'm going to use the elements. That's all witchcraft is. When you're lighting a candle with a specific color, with a specific incense, with a specific, oil, you're working with elements. That's all you're doing.
Yeah. getting them on your side, right? Collaborating with them, co-creating with them.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So wonderful. 2 packages. Really, they are so solid, one and the other. And as you said, there's for everyone's taste. Wherever you are on your journey, there's going to be option 2 or option 1 for you, and you have 2 payment plan and even 3 payment plan to make it. It is very generously priced, and you have the 2 and 3 payment plans to make them even more accessible. So thank you so much for this. Accelerate Your Ascension special offer, Matthew. Are you up to taking at least a few more readings? Let's do it.
As many as you have time for. As many as you have time for.
Okay, I'm happy. I'm sure that everyone is going to be happy with that. So let's keep running a little bit over time. Let's do this, keeping people happy and not only that, but there's so much wisdom and so many insights coming through every reading that are for everyone as well. So let's go to, I want to go to Crete in Greece with Marianne. I'm unmuting you, Marianne. Hello, Marianne.
Hello.
Hello, welcome, Marianne. Hi.
Hello, Matthew.
Hello. Nice to speak with you. Okay, you want to know where you're from, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. It's Marianne?
Yes, Mariana.
All right. Let me see what my guides show me. So, Marianne. Okay. They're showing me one. They're showing me another. They're showing me another. You're definitely many. Okay. Yeah, you're a galactic traveler for sure. They showed me the Pleiades. They showed me Cassiopeia, which we haven't mentioned yet. Cassiopeia is that W in the sky. That's what the constellation looks like. Cassiopeia and Starseeds are so oriented towards nature and the elements, right? The Cassiopeians are the ones that love going on hikes and connecting with the trees and the fairies and everything that's down to the earth. So Cassiopeian Mantis, Starseeds, there's this element of, it's a very Aquarian vibe. There's this element of, expressing one's uniqueness in a very powerful way. Mantis Starseeds are here to teach others how to be themselves. Mantis people are often perceived by others to be eccentric, to be unique. They have unique talents. Sometimes Mantis Starseeds even remember at times in their life or even now not fully feeling like super comfortable in a human body. Like it wasn't all that natural to be in a human body because you're, coming from being this 9-foot mantis, this free flowing, unique expression, the kind of the more stagnant, like denser energy of being in a human body, right? So Mantis, Cassiopeia, Pleiades, Lyra, originating from the Andromeda Galaxy. The Hyades is another place you've been. The Hyades. Hyadian Starseeds have similar traits to the Pleiadians. They look different than the Pleiadians. A lot of them will have more kind of turquoise or green, even greenish looking skin, but very similar civilizations to the Pleiades, focus on community, very feminine vibration, focus on art and music. Let me see if I got all those. Hyades, Cassiopeia, is there any other ones I missed? I know I'm missing one. Orion. Yeah, Orion's belt was another piece. Now, if I asked where the last stop for you was, my sense is it is Lyra and Cassiopeia. It's as if you're kind of, and this is another kind of wrinkle I described before. If you're drawing it out linearly, like on a piece of paper, one little wrinkle to try to figure this out is sometimes it can appear as if they're simultaneous. Some of these, as if one has two separate fractals from the same place. So there's kind of this simultaneous existence for you on Cassiopeia, and on Lyra, but really Lyra is the hub where you come from. So you'll go back to Lyra, I think, when you're done with this earthly realm, but Cassiopeia also seems very recent as well. So probably Lyra and Cassiopeia will feel the most resonant if you dig into those. So if I were you, Mariana, summertime, Cassiopeia is really visible right now. And go outside at night and kind of meditate with Cassiopeia and see what you get, see what you feel.
Mm.
And would that also mean that these starseed origins have the most influence on my current life on Earth?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, so the ones that'll have the most influence are Cassiopeia and Lyra, and then others that have influence but not as strongly will be Mantis and Pleiades and Hyades and Orion and Andromeda. So if you think of it as like, for everyone, think of it as like a inverted pyramid of influence where the most recent places that you come from will be at the top tier of the inverted pyramid of having the most influence, and then down to like the lower tiers where there'll be less space will be some of the other places that are more distant because they were longer ago in your soul's history.
Hmm. And if I may ask one more question, I don't know if it's.
I think book a session. You want a session with ask all your questions to Matthew on a session, Marianne. Okay, let's take another caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we want all our questions answered. Of course, I understand you. I get you. Okay, let's go to Scottsdale, Arizona with Linda. I'm unmuting you, Linda. Hello.
Desert, my friend.
Hi, Linda.
As you walk,
Linda, you there?
there are energy cacti.
Linda, are you there?
There are various
Hello. Okay, we're gonna take another caller.
That's like I grew up like always listening to the talk radio. And like I love talk radio. I was on Coast to Coast AM recently as a guest, and those of you that are in North America, a lot of you know Coast to Coast. But it's the old thing where it's like someone gets on the line, it's like turn your radio down. There's that 7-second delay, right? Turn your radio down, and if they don't right away, it's like okay, next caller.
Right. Yeah. Well, we have Linda's request in the Q&A as well. So could you please do the reading for Linda?
I would love to. Yeah. Linda in Scottsdale.
In
right?
Scottsdale, Arizona. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Let's see what my guy's telling me. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I clicked the audio track down there.
I didn't want to do that. Sorry, I clicked by accident.
No worries. All right, let's see what my guys say. So Linda in Scottsdale, Arizona. So, okay, Arcturus is the one that's. So I think Arcturus is going to be the most recent lives and the most what's going to feel most relevant. Orion, Lyra, the Pleiades. And going back to the Andromeda Galaxy, and then before that, there's another galaxy she originates from, which is in the Aries part of the sky. And speaking when I say like which part of the sky, again, Virgo moon in me, I try to get as exact as I can. But our scientists know that there's at least billions of galaxies in our universe, like at least, right? It's an unfathomable number. So the best we can do is you can look at a star map and you can see the sky divided into the 12 signs. And when I say like, okay, Linda, Aries part of the sky, find a star map. There's a great poster I have in my office here that shows this. But see, okay, Aries, and then just feel into that part of the sky. It's the best you can do. Or you can get a on your phone, if you have a smartphone, you can use one of the apps, the star map apps, and look for the Aries part of the sky, Linda. And that's where your home galaxy is, I believe.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, let me go to the Q&A. We want to go to Woodstock with Davida. So where Is David?
I love Woodstock. I love Woodstock. I love the Hudson Valley. It's such a beautiful, beautiful part of New York. Beautiful part of New York. On my YouTube channel, I did a live interview with Rick Levine, who I mentioned before, who's like my favorite astrologer out there, and we did it right on the Hudson River, very close to Woodstock. Beautiful part of the world. So yeah. Anyways, Woodstock was there.
Yes, Davida.
Davida.
Yes.
Okay. This is from the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
That's
see what.
from the Q&A. Yeah.
Okay. Davida and Woodstock. What we got? Okay. Syrian comes up first. And let's see if there's any others. Andromeda, Sirius, Orion, Pleiades. So Sirius is the hub for you, like it is for me. When I say the hub, it's as if it's the place in the Milky Way where you go back to, and then if you want to go somewhere else, you'll go from there. So for you, it's Sirius, and also you've had experiences in the Pleiades, Orion, and originating from the Andromeda Galaxy.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Blessings to you, Davida. Thank you. Going to Canandaigua, if that's the right way to pronounce it.
Are you kidding me? Canandaigua?
Is this where you are?
That's where I live. That's right near me. Are you kidding me?
That is
Are
so
you
cool.
kidding me? I live in the Finger Lakes.
Okay.
I live on Canisius. I live right around Canisius Lake. Unbelievable.
Of all the people, because there are so many requests. So, Gail, your neighbor Gail in Canandaigua.
Unbelievable. Is she on or is this in the chat?
No, it's in the chat. These two are in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll go back to
Gail from Canandaigua. And most people have no idea of these places I'm talking about. These are New York State places. Woodstock, New York, Canandaigua, New York. Okay, so let me see what I pick up. So Gail. Okay. Cassiopeia, another Cassiopeia, and I think Cassiopeia is actually the most recent for Gail. Been on the Pleiades as well, and also been Mantis and Andromeda Galaxy originally. I think Mantis may have been the first stop in the Milky Way, and then coming to the Pleiades, the Hyades, Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia is where you came to Earth from, though.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. Blessings. Let's travel a little bit. Still in the Q&A. We want to go to Bellingham, Australia with Margie.
Okay. Australia. It's like 3:40 in the morning or something?
Yeah, that's why it's in the Q&A. That's why I pick it up from the Q&A. And then
go to bed after this. Go to sleep after this. You're living like my schedule.
They may pick up on
living
the
in the night. Okay, what's the name again?
Margie.
Unless she's up really early. Okay, Margie. What we pick up? Sirius, and actually, I'll just for fun, I'll give you a Sirius A. There's three stars in Sirius A, B, and C. The third star is at a different, my understanding and what the Sirians tell me, it's a different frequency where it's sometimes visible to us, sometimes not. But Sirius A and B are the main ones, and Sirius A is the bigger star. That's the one when we look for Sirius in the sky, and when you use your sky map on your phone, you're seeing Sirius, right? That's Sirius A. So Sirius A, you came to Earth from, and from the Andromeda Galaxy originally, and Lyra. So Lyra is another piece. It seems like you came to Lyra, and then Sirius, and then Earth. So just those three are what I'm seeing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
And by the
Martin.
way,
Blessings.
if
Yeah.
someone has one place or 13 places, there's no better or worse. Like, as far as I
Right.
understand, I'm Sirian, Orion, Blue Avian, and Andromeda. So that's only 4, right? As far as I understand. But
Okay.
some people I read, they're like 9 or 10 or 11. Some people are like 1 or 2. And there's no better or worse. It's just, where you come from.
It's the journey, right? That's where you come from and where you are in your journey. Okay, thank you for
Exactly.
this precision. Absolutely. Let's take one more in the Q&A, and then we'll take a few live callers if you're up to it. We're going to
Sure.
Denmark, in Nib, Denmark, with Karin. So Karin in Denmark.
Okay. Lyra is the first one I'm seeing, and I'll see if there's others. Pleiades. And Lyra is the origin, I believe. I believe Lyra is the origin. Pleiades, Earth. So Lyra to the Pleiades to Earth. So, not all Milky Way starseeds are from the Andromeda Galaxy. Some are native. So actually, most commonly, those that aren't native to the Andromeda Galaxy, they come from Lyra or they come from Sirius or the Pleiades. And I've seen more Lyrans than any that are not native to the Andromeda Galaxy. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Karin. Blessings. So, thank you, Matthew. Are you up to taking a few live callers? We have a few hands raised.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
good to go. Okay, so we're going to Los Angeles with Kathy. I'm unmuting you, Kathy.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Kathy. Welcome.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to speak with you. I'm good.
All right. So, guessing you are interested in your star origin.
Yes, please.
So, Sirius is the first one that I'm showing. Do you like being by the ocean?
Yes, and I'm also a Scorpio.
Yeah.
So I'm
Okay. There you go. Yeah, just like me. So yeah, it's definitely Sirian is the strongest. Let me see. Orion as well. By the way, Orion starseeds, those that are specifically have Sirius and Orion in their origins, like myself and like you, Kathy, we have Scorpio generally as a sun or rising, or we have a really strong Pluto placement. Pluto conjunct, the moon or the sun, or on the ascendant or the descendant or something like that. So yes, because the energy of, actually this is kind of a fun thing. The energy of Sirius is Leo. So we'll have Leo somewhere. I'm a Leo ascendant. Or you'll have some 5th house important placements usually. The Pleiades is Taurus. It's the sign, it's the vibration that correlates. Lyra is also Taurus. Arcturus is Gemini. Orion is Scorpio. And there's more in depth with that, but just the basics of like those of you that are listening and you're like, oh, I'm a Pleiadian, and oh my God, I'm a Taurus ascendant, right? Or, also Pleiadian, think about Venus, right? Maybe you have Venus conjunct your sun or your ascendant or your moon, right? Or maybe Venus is really prominently activated in your chart. So that's just an interesting piece. But for you, yes, Sirius, Orion, Arcturus, Lyra, and Andromeda, originating from the Andromeda Galaxy. But Sirius is going to be the most prominent one.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
So much.
Blessings. Okay, let's go to Burns Lake, British Columbia, 8288 are the last digits on your phone number. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, welcome. What is your name, please?
Marianne. And
Hello.
hi.
Hi, Marianne.
Am I Starseed, and where do I come from?
Sure. Let's see. Pleiades is the first one I'm showing, and I believe that's where you came from right before Earth. And Lyra is another one. And I believe you originated from Lyra, came to the Pleiades, that you went to I think you were also in Beta Centauri. That's one that hasn't come up yet. Beta Centauri, now colloquially speaking, the term that's used is Hadarian. So those of you that have read about or heard about the Hadarians, or Hadar, that's Beta Centauri, the star, which you can find on a star map. And Beta Centaurians, Hadarian starseeds, are really empathic. Like they really feel everything. And sometimes it can be tough because you're so empathic. And it's a very divine feminine vibration. Some Hadarian starseeds, they've gone through a lot of trauma, and they have to really return back to that divine feminine in this life. And some are naturally just, it depends on how much karma they brought in from other lifetimes, are naturally able to sustain the divine feminine frequencies anyways. But for you, Lyran origin of your soul, and then Pleiadian and Hadarian and Hyadian as well. The Hyades, a lot of Pleiadian starseeds also lies in the Hyades, so it's a very similar vibration. And then coming to Earth from the Pleiades.
Okay, so let me get this. Pleiadian and Lyran. And Alpha Centauri.
Beta Centauri. So Beta Centauri.
Beta Centaurian.
Yeah, which is Hadarian is another term for that.
Hadarian?
Hadarian is another term for Beta Centauri.
Okay. Just those three?
And the Hyades as well. Hyaedes. Hyades.
Hyades. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
you.
Marianne. Blessings. Okay. What are you feeling, Matthew? Shall we take one more, or last one, or?
I think that sounds great. Yeah, let's
Okay.
do one more. Yeah.
Let's do one more. Let's go to South San Francisco, California, with Kathy. Hello, Kathy.
Hi, Sophie. Hi, Matthew.
Hi,
Thank you for taking.
Hello.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you. I'd love a reading.
Okay, let's do it.
It's been fascinating. You explained everything so good at the beginning.
Oh, thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. Okay, so Kathy from South San Francisco. Let's see what they show me. Okay. It looks like Vega. So Vega is a particular star in the Lyran star system, star cluster, and Vegan starseeds have a particular tenor to them where they're really oriented towards the natural world and towards animals and plants and this very feminine, artistic vibrations, very Piscean in ways. So I get the sense you're coming from Vega, and you've also, let's see, there was an experience you were also in other Lyran planets, and you also wanted to experience Orion, because then you experience excuse me, Lemuria and Atlantis as well. And there's some we didn't get into, but it's such an important topic, and all of you that end up doing the Ascending as One program, with the special offers that Sophie and I have, make sure you watch those Connecting with Lemuria and Connecting with Atlantis master classes, because it's such an important piece of the puzzle, is understanding why one may have wanted to experience the trauma of the end of Lemuria from either side. Some of us experienced it from being a victim in the Lemurian side. Some of us experienced being some of us part of the bad guys, so to speak, in Atlantis, and then balancing that out by playing both sides, or just by being an innocent victim in Atlantis. But all of us that had really intense experiences in Lemuria and Atlantis, generally it's because we came from Orion. And it relates to the experience of the Orion Wars, or the Galactic Wars, if you will. Really, in reality, probably the whole basis of the outline of Star Wars, the movie series, is based on the Orion Galactic Wars. And in Orion's belt, some of us experienced our planet being taken over. Some of us experienced going out and fighting with the draconian beings out in space, and there's trauma there. Some of us had our planet blown up and lost our entire civilization. And so for those of us that had Orion, especially difficult Orion experiences, we generally wanted to come to Earth and experience Atlantis and Lemuria, because the karma, essentially, of the Orion experiences got transferred to Earth intentionally. The Pleiadians were part of this, because Earth, being this lower density, lower dimensional laboratory playground, if you will, for consciousness, it was an opportunity to heal the wounds, the karmic wounds. Like the Orion Wars essentially tore holes in the Milky Way. It was so traumatic. So by bringing some of that karma to Earth, and by directing and encouraging souls that, it's all free will, but the Pleiadians were very much involved with encouraging souls that experienced Orion trauma to, as part of their soul's journey, at some point go to Atlantis and Lemuria on Earth to re-experience it in some way, and through the re-experiencing, it helps to clear out that karma from the fabric of the Milky Way itself, which is an important part of the Milky Way's ascension. Like all bodies, I said, planets, stars, galaxies are on an ascension journey, and the Milky Way is on an ascension journey herself. So for you, Kathy, that Orion piece that is big. But before that, and really the deeper origins of you is, Lyra, especially Vega, and that would be the origins of your soul.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Blessings. Thank you,
Sophie.
Matthew. I want to bounce on what you just. So these two, Lemurian and Atlantis, they are two of the Starseed essentials that are in option 1. What I want to bounce on is I get the sense that these journeys to Atlantis and to Lemuria, not only are they informative and certainly fascinating, but there's something very healing to them as well for us, right?
Yeah, it really cuts deep. The Lemurian and Atlantean wounds cut so deep.
Mm-hmm.
So in multiple ways. Is one, okay, think of, like, if you were in the end of Lemuria, as I was, and I think you were, Sophie, think about the most heartbreaking and traumatic experiences of loss in this particular life, where you were on the ground crying, or you were traumatized, like you couldn't even feel emotions because it was so traumatic. And we'll get into this stuff on the Healing with Grief call in December, Healing Grief call in December. But like on a deeper level, what's happening is the trauma that's in your field that goes all the way back to the end of Lemuria. One of the reasons you programmed that into your life plan to experience this loss is so that karma can come up and then be released. And it's important piece of it I've found is becoming aware of what it actually is. And that's a big piece of my teaching is just understanding ourselves better. And if you understand it on the deepest level, you're carrying this trauma from Lemuria and then even deeper from Orion, you can understand, oh, okay, so I have to re-experience that in this ascension life in one way or another so I can release it. And then it's not just about releasing it, it's also about coming to a place of forgiveness of the dark.
Right.
And then that applies to think about times in your life where you were victimized. We all have been. Someone took advantage of you, someone lied to you, betrayed you, hurt you physically, mentally, emotionally, etc. And we have to come to forgiveness of everything and everyone. It never means allowing someone to abuse you. The first step is always to get away from the abuse if that's a part of your experience, right? But ultimately, in order for that to be alchemized and out of your energy field, you do have to come to a place of forgiveness. Now, it's not easy. Sometimes it can take a lifetime to forgive, especially when it's a family member, right? Or an ex-partner. But you do have to at some point. But what's happening on a deeper level is you're forgiving the draconian extraterrestrials, the dark reptilian extraterrestrials for what they did to you in Orion. And if you were in Lemuria, the next step down from that is you're forgiving what the Atlanteans did. And also,
Hello. Oh, you get cut. We can't hear you, Matthew. We can't hear you somehow. Oh, you're back.
can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Now we can hear you again.
Okay,
yes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now with my headphones back?
Now we're good.
I don't know what it was, but anyway, what I was saying is that where did I leave off?
I was just looking at the screen and I just don't know.
No, that's okay. I think I was talking. Anyway, I don't know if you guys heard it or not, but what I was saying is the other side of it is that Atlantis. I've heard from dozens of people over the years. They tell me that they have this guilt deep within that they remember. They
we
know
missed that, so that's a great point. Yeah.
That they were involved in some sort of dark work in Atlantis. Like I've had people tell me, multiple people, that they carry with them that they believe that they are responsible, them alone, for what happened in Atlantis. And of course it's not true. I mean, there's so many factors, right? But there are people that also, it's the other side of it that's just as relevant, is carrying with them guilt. And then that relates to anything in this life that for whatever reason made you feel a sense of guilt that you carried with you. It may relate back to Atlantis when you may have played intentionally for karmic purposes the role of a dark being. And the purposes being experiencing both sides of light and dark, both sides of a traumatic experience, is generally necessary for us to alchemize it and release it. That's why all of us, regardless of whether it was in Atlantis or anywhere else, we've all played dark characters in other life, which is helpful to understanding so we can have a bit more compassion. It never means allowing yourself to be abused, but what it means is understand that anyone that's ever hurt you or anyone that's out in the world right now causing trauma, pain, etc., it's because they're injured themselves and they haven't yet reached the level of consciousness to be able to not perpetuate the injury onto others. They're just unconscious. If they could do better, they would, but they can't because they're not conscious enough yet. So that guilt is another piece of that. So digging into these Lemurian and Atlantean masterclasses, a huge part of the intention is helping you to release those pockets of stuck energy that are so deeply stored, embedded in your energy field that you have to release at some point in the ascension process. So
Right.
it can be a bit of a shortcut.
Yeah, the time has come. The time has come, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, Matthew. Oh, wow. What can I say? I think one thing I want to say is that I made a note a moment ago that you are the Starseed guide par excellence. And I
Thank you.
think this is so.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Merci à vous. Thank you for being with us. I mean, you've just offered so much already. I think you give us, I really know you give us the taste of wanting to spend so many more hours with you. And so I really can only invite everyone to join Matthew. If you can, on option 1, get your private session, get your answers to all those questions and your origin and so many more questions. Get the VIP program with the Syrian, to the 2 Syrian channelings, and get the live ascending as one mentoring programs for 2 months. 6 Starseed essentials, including these 2, the Lemurian and the Atlantean. That's all option 1. You have all the details on the special offer page. And of course, you have option 2. If, as Matthew said at the beginning, if you just want to put your toes in the water, if that's where you are, that's perfect. Get started there. That's already a very solid program. And we can hear, I mean, we could experience today the depth of your sharing and the depth and it is so unique. What you share and how you share is so unique and so, that's what we need. This is the Starseed Essential Package. So I really invite everyone to get on board. Matthew, is there anything else you want to add? You've shared so much already. Is there any word of closing you would like to offer? Are we good for today? Where are we?
Yeah, I actually would love to. Just to relate to where we're at now, we're in the middle of an eclipse season. Eclipse seasons are crucial. They don't come around all that often. They come around only every 6 months. We're right between eclipses. We just experienced the Pisces eclipse recently, and we're going to come up on experiencing the Libra eclipse soon as well as we enter the Libra season. And this time is all about relationships, all about relationships. All of the wounds, all of the stuff, whatever your stuff is, you know what it is, it's going to come up now around this time in the context of relationships with family, with friends, with ex-partners, with current partners, with colleagues. And the most important thing that will carry you through this is looking at things with eyes of compassion, forgiveness, understanding, listening, and communicating thoroughly and honestly. Communicating honestly in all aspects of your relationships, okay? For some of you, this means you got to bring something up with someone that's uncomfortable. For some of you, this means listening a little bit better to what someone has been trying to tell you. For some of you, this just means diving in more deeply into cultivating your marriage, cultivating your partnership, cultivating your friendship, right? But all these lessons are going to come up around relationships, especially after that Libra solar eclipse that's coming up. But even now, because there were a lot of aspects relating to that in this recent Pisces eclipse. So just a little reminder, and very appropriate to mention this at the end of the call because you were so good at, Sophie, at opening us up with having us open our hearts. And it really is the key to this time, is to just approaching things with an open heart, with patience, with forgiveness, with love, and just with eyes towards us being more unified as families, as partnerships, as friendships, and ultimately, of course, as a collective. And, one aspect of eclipse season is there are relationships that they're not working. They're full of strife and difficult energy, and sometimes eclipses, especially with Libra being involved, will come around and say, okay, well, this is the end of that soul contract. And I'm sure there's some of you listening that are like nodding your head or kind of feeling it, like feeling that sadness within with that. And if that's the case for you, it's what's meant to be. And the eclipse season will make that happen, but just know that it's what's written. It's what's written in the soul contract. And if you have questions about your relationships at all, it's one of the things that I specialize in my private readings. So ask me what's in the soul contract. Ask me what is meant to happen here, and I can definitely assist you with that.
Wow, you are such a treasure. I'm so delighted that we have had this time with you, Matthew, and for all that you're offering. Thank you. Thank you for this word of closing. That's very precious, very timely, very important. Thank you for the message. Now, let's take a moment, everyone, to be present once again to the orb of grace, allowing it to remain there, holding us, holding all that we have received, discovered, experienced today, all that we're not even yet aware that we have received, allowing it to sink in. There was so much as we are held in the orb of grace for as long as it serves our highest good, our evolution, and the highest good of all. And I'm closing now by giving gratitude to each and every one of you in the audience. Thank you for answering yes to the calling of grace and the calling of your starseed soul to reveal itself and to be fully embraced. Gratitude to you, phenomenal Matthew John, for all the insights, the wisdom, the brilliance, and the offerings you have gifted us today through all the graceful connections that have been woven with you and your masterful expertise. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Gratitude to the Orb of Grace for providing a safe, sacred space for this exploration today. And gratitude for all the grace we are blessed with at every moment. Whether we are aware of it or not, it offers all the nourishment, the nurturing, the healing, the revelations and the realizations that we open our hearts to receive all along this journey. Gratitude to our higher selves and all the higher beings who guide, support, and protect us. And gratitude to the divine. Thank you. Until we meet again, many graceful blessings to you all. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye now.